So this video is how to recover October's SHIF Relief from your November payroll. So before KRA announced that there is no SHIF Relief, we had applied SHIF Relief and paid people. Then they announced it before the due date for paying PAYE, so we were able to reverse it and not pay to KRA. But we still need to recover those figures from the employees. So this is how to do that recovery. So there's 3 basic steps. Well, 4, because for one, you need to update. You should see 2024 11/19/3 or later than that, either with 4 or if it's later, maybe 20, like that. So make sure you update. Then there's 3 steps. The first we want to do is to activate an item we're going to use to import into the November payroll. So it's a voluntary deduction. The second thing we want to do is to get how much we are recovering for each person. And the third thing we want to do is to import that figure into November payroll. Okay, so let's go and do it. So the first thing you want to do is to get an item. So come here to Payslip items. I've already activated this recovery, which is the one I want to use. If you've already used it, or if you wanted to use another, you can come and click off, scroll down to the VolDed 2 section. Maybe you want to use either miscellaneous or other deduction. So to activate miscellaneous, you could just click, highlight it and click activate like that. It will disappear from this list. It will appear here in the FVC list. So because I don't want to use that, let me switch it off by again highlighting and clicking. So when you highlight and click, if it was off, it goes on. If it was on, it goes off. So I have my recovery here. The other way that you could have done this is, instead of this view by get ID, you can use view by section ID. Come down to VolDed 2. Here you can see what is off and on. So let's say you wanted to use other deduction, you can see it's off. If I activate it, you see it changes to FVC, right? So you can either use the view by section ID or view by get ID. I don't want this, let me switch it off. So that's getting an item. Okay, now we want the amount. If we go to statutory rates and look at value and go to the SHIF Relief, you can see I've switched it off, which should be the state that you have. Which means if we go to the Payslips for October, so I'm in October Payslips and I filter, I want to filter by relief insurance. I do not have a SHIF Relief showing here under Relief 2. That's what you want. So now what we want while we're in this state, let's put that off and go to reports. One thing you could do just to make sure, because we're going to recalculate this month's payroll, just get this figure, so that after we have done what we need to and we re-establish the original position, you want to make sure that your net cash comes back to what it was originally. So 758469. Remember that figure or write it down. Okay, so now what we want to do, this is the new report that I had created. So if you have not updated, you won't see this. I want to do 2 things. I want to get the SHIF Relief figure, and I also want to get the net cash with SHIF Relief and the net cash without SHIF Relief. Okay, so first let's do without, because our current position is that there isn't. So let's export the net cash. So we come here, get a folder where you're going to save these things. So I've exported my net cash. Say yes to open the folder. I'm going to just change this. I don't need the time. I'm going to say no SHIF Relief. Okay, because that's what we've exported. So that's my net cash with no SHIF Relief. Then I want to come here and switch on SHIF Relief. So I say editable. Again, of course, where I am is statutory rates. So let me double click so that you know where we are. Click editable. Say yes. Okay. I want to switch this back on only for October. So I do it using month to then month from, so that I don't get the error which says that I've put a period that falls before in the wrong place. So there we are. So I've set it to October. So if I click in another line just to save that, because I don't want to close the form, I come here, I go back to Payslips, I process, make sure you're in October, process. Then you're going to confirm that SHIF Relief has come. Let's go here and look at our relief too. You can see we've got our SHIF Reliefs. So we can switch that off, go to reports. So I want my net cash with SHIF Relief. So I say, because I'm still on export. You can see I'm still on export. Now I don't say yes because my folder is already open. If I say yes, it will keep opening the same folder over and over again. So this is with SHIF Relief. With SHIF Relief. Okay. So I have my 2 net caches. Now the other thing I want is the actual SHIF figure. So if I come here to select items, this is the other thing I fixed in this version. It was not working the way I wanted. So if you come here, this select items is where you tick what you want if you don't want a list of all things. So right now you can see basic pay is selected, and I had already selected SHIF Relief down here. Okay, so if I close, let's go to view. If I open this, you'll see it will only show me 2 reports. It shows me SHIF Relief and it shows me basic pay, because those are the 2 that I have selected. And even in my Excel file, it only shows me SHIF Relief and basic pay. Okay, so I don't want basic pay, so I can come to my select items and tick basic pay, close it, and this time when I view, all I have is SHIF Relief. Now I want to export this figure, so I close there and I come to export and I double click. I want the Excel one. Select the folder. I don't need to open it again, it's already open. And here's my SHIF Relief. So if I open it, there are my figures. Okay. Now I want to show you. Now before we go to that step, let's re-establish October back to how it was before. So our statutory thing was still open. So I want to go back to Inception, so that it is off. Click in that line. Now I can close it because I'm done with this. I can process October. Then I want to filter, make sure that I'm back to, let's come to Payslips, filter by Relief 2. You can see I'm back. I don't have my SHIF Relief, switch that off. And then I want to check my summary to see if my figure, oops, I don't want to export it, save view. Yes, 758469. So I'm back to the original position. Okay, so that's what you want to do. Okay, so now we are done with October. So now we want to get our figure. So remember we had SHIF no relief and SHIF, or rather net cash no SHIF, net cash with SHIF. So let's open these files. So that's net cash no SHIF, net cash with SHIF, and then I had already opened this SHIF Relief. Okay, so now if we go to net cash, this is with SHIF. Let's just change this so that we know net cash with SHIF Relief. And I want these figures. Make sure the system is designed to list people alphabetically, so this list should be the same as the other one if you didn't change it. So we are in no SHIF Relief, copy, come back, net cash with SHIF Relief, we paste it here. Oops, let's just paste it nicely so that it looks the same. So this is net cash no SHIF Relief, and then what I want is the difference. So I come here and say the difference. So I want to subtract, this is the bigger one, so I just want to subtract that minus that. Because we are looking at net cash, the figure is rounded, so I copy and paste. Now I wanted to show you the reason I exported. So this is the figure that I want to recover. I wanted to show you that the reason we use the net cash rather than the SHIF figures, let's close this one, we don't need this, rather than the SHIF figures, is because if you have people with lower salaries than around 25k, I'm not sure the exact amount, but it's 25 or something like that, like Susan Black, she has SHIF relief, but because her payslip, her payee is below the threshold of the total relief that she has, we can't deduct all the relief. We only deduct the relief equivalent to the actual payee that she has, which was much lower. So you can see for her there is no recovery, but she has SHIF relief. So if you have people with those low salaries, don't just pick these figures. All right, and then if you have people with higher salaries, say around 27k going up, you can just use directly the SHIF figures. So bear in mind again, you can see these are exact and these are rounded, because here we're using the net cash. Okay, so let's use the net cash in our case, because we have somebody with a figure that should not be recovered here. So let's close this to make sure we are not making a problem. So now we want to create so let's create a new Excel file, SHIF Relief Recovery. So we open that file, then we are going to import, or rather copy, the two columns that usually matter. So that's the employee name. Did I open it? Yes, let's go there. So I paste here and I get these figures. This is my recovery. So I copy the whole thing and I come here to the next column. It has to be exactly the next column. Now in this case I'm going to just do this. The reason I have right clicked and used this is because in the other place it's a formula and I want the values. So you can see when I highlight this, it says values. So that's what I want. Now remember, for when you're, let's save that, when you want a file to be ready for import, the first column must be called EmpName, no space, EmpName, like that, and the second one must be called amount1. Okay, so we save that. So we have what we need now. Let's close that, and we can also close that. We don't need that. Let's just save it. So we go back to our payroll. Let's close our payslips. We want to import. So what we are doing is we want to import and dump that figure inside here using our recovery. So you come to import salary, say import data, go to our test folder, SHIF Relief Recovery, say yes. See that your figures are there as usual. You match names. Remember, this is just a name from the Excel file. You have to make sure that name matches something in our payroll. So we match names. So we have our total, you see 29.45. Then you transfer this to add batch. Okay, so you confirm. Why do I have, this figure is looking a bit bigger because Genoteno appears twice, but don't worry, it will, when we import it, it will be fine. So we say varying, because we want to put it in the varying app because it only applies to 1 month. So we say varying, then we come here, VolDed 2, V2, recovery, yeah. Make sure you are putting it in November, yes, you're putting it there, and we want to add a note. Let's say SHIF Relief. In fact, let's call it October SHIF Relief. And then you click on this button with the arrows. So what we have done is we've added a note that will appear in the varying app. So we've got our note, we've got our amount, and we've got our month, and we have our item. So we add to varying. As you can see, I told you she'll only appear twice, and we have our 29.45. So this is November, this is the varying items app, and we have our recovery, October SHIF Relief. Now we want to add that into the payslip. So you open November payslips. Let's confirm that it's not there. This is under voluntary deductions 2. you can see there is no SHIF Relief recovery. But after we process, that figure will be picked and it will reduce this person's every person's net cash. I'll remove this eventually because since SHIF keeps popping up. Okay, so now you can see those recoveries have appeared here. Okay, so if we switch that off, let's go to reports and just look at what a payslip looks like. So you can see under reliefs, since it's off, there is no SHIF relief, but the recovery is sitting here. Recovery October SHIF relief, line 24 for this one, 83 bob. If you go to the next one, 922, 351, like that. So that figure will be recovered for each person. That's how you do that recovery.